Hello everyone, this is Painting with Martin. This is my first video, and today we're going to be painting some miniatures of a board game called Magna Roma Deluxe Edition from Archona games. Magna Roma was published in 2022 and came on Kickstarter. I backed the Deluxe Edition, and it features quite a few miniatures that are really suitable for painting. So stay with me, and right now we're going to switch to the miniature view. And as you can see here, I put a miniature called Porta Nigra on this little handle stick from Citable Colors. I put some blue tack on it to make sure that it sticks. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some paint on it. But before that, I need to say that I primed this miniature as well, and I also cleaned it. And cleaning means that I put it in lukewarm water. I scrub it all over with some dishwasher liquid, and I put some lukewarm water again, and I leave it to dry. And I do this to make sure that it actually any plastic residue or resin residue is actually left in the dishwasher liquid and the water, instead of on the model, because otherwise the paint might not stick to the model. So I can strongly recommend you to do so. And then when this one was dry, I primed the miniature. I pretty much took a spray can of white paint, and I spray painted it all over the model, and it looks like this now. The miniatures are white by design, so I would probably recommend you to put a white primer, possibly a grey one or a beige one, but not a black one, because otherwise you will have light shining through if you put a black one and put a white paint on it. So without much further ado, I'm going to be painting this model in 3 stages. The first stage is going to put some base colors on it. The second stage, we're going to apply a wash all over the miniature to make sure that we get all the shadows into these little nooks and crannies. And finally, I'm going to be giving it some highlighting touches. This video will be done in 2 stages to let the paint and the wash dry in between 2 miniatures. And it's a very easy way to actually put a really good miniature with some nice paint on the table when you play the game. While it's drying, if it doesn't take too much time, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the board game itself. But right now I'm going to be taking a paintbrush. I have a brush called Winsor & Newton Cotman brush. It's a size 3. And I'm going to be, first of all, painting it with a generous layer of white paint over it to cover it with like that. So I'm opening my wet palette over here. And a wet palette is a very nice and handy tool to have. It simply leaves your paint in one place, and it doesn't actually mean that your paint's actually dry afterwards. So you can see over here that is quite nice. And you put some, you don't load the entire paintbrush with it. With paint, but you pretty much put some nice paint all over this miniature, taking good care not to touch the roof. And it's perfectly fine if it's not really even coverage across the entire miniature, because the wash is going to obscure that. So Porta Nigra, I can say first of all, is a real building. As you can see here, I got some white paint on it. It's perfectly fine. You can just smooth it out. Porta Nigra is a real building in modern Germany. It's located in Trier. I hope I pronounced that right. And Porta Nigra was one of the 4 large Roman city gates. And why we're talking about Romans, well, the board game Magna Roma is set in Rome. And one of the wonders you can build in this board game is Porta Nigra. So Porta Nigra is set in modern day Germany, in Trier, and back in the time it was called Augusta Traviorum. It was a very large city. It had 4 main gates, only one of them survives until today. And this is Porta Nigra, and it was saved from destruction in the Middle Ages because a monk named Simon decided to put up residence in Porta Nigra, and that saved construction, because then he was sanctified or beatified, I believe, became a saint. So the Catholic Church didn't want to destroy this precious building where he had lived. He became a hermit there. And Porta Nigra then was saved from destruction. All the other Roman city gates were destroyed, unfortunately. And it was also converted in the Middle Ages to a convent and a church. Then Napoleon came around in the 1800s, maybe 1700s even, I'm not entirely sure, and decided that he wanted to see the Porta Nigra in its original shape. So he knocked down the monastery. He could do what he wished for. He was, after all, quite powerful. And then when he had done so, this is the building that you see today. And the construction is white sandstone, actually yellow sandstone, I believe it is. In the Roman days, it was also in that shape and color. However, today it is more black in color, and it stems from the Middle Ages. So, as you can see here, I'm covering it with a fairly liberal layer of white paint. Some of you prefer to dilute the paint with a bit of water. That's perfectly fine as well. I'm putting it neat over here because it's not entirely neat. It's actually covered by some of the water from the wet palette. We can even mix in some water here, but there if you wish, if it's a little bit too thick. So, as you can see, you cover the whole miniature. Don't worry about getting every little detail there, but it will be, as I said, obscured by the wash. We'll come to the wash stage in a little bit. This just to make sure that it has not just the spray coated primer on it, that it has some paint as well. If you want to save time, you can just spray coat it with white primer and just go straight to the wash, but I wouldn't recommend it. If you have any problems, or if you can't see everything in here, as I said, this is my first video. I'm trying to do the best I can. If you have any comments or questions, just leave it in the comments below. And of course, if you like these videos and would like to see some more, then you can actually feel free to like and subscribe this video, and you'll get regular updates when the next video is coming out. And you can see here, sometimes there's a little bit uneven coverage, so I'm going to try and smooth it out. Oh. And if it's a little bit too much, you can brush it off with a piece of kitchen towel. And that looks pretty good. Right, I'm not painting the roof, as you can see, unless there's any leftover paint over here, because the roof is going to be another color. So with that said and done, I can talk a little bit about the board game while this one is drying. And as you can see, I'm going to put the camera up so you can see the board game itself. Board game itself is called Magna Roma. It's a tile laying game for 1 to 4 players. It is set, of course, in ancient Rome, which means that you're going to find buildings like the Porta Nigra. You were going to find buildings like the Forum Romanum, Colosseum, mausoleums, and all kinds of buildings associated with ancient Rome. You lay tiles, you score bonuses, and you score points and try to get combos. It's a nice, neat little game for 1 to 4 players. You can even play it solo. I haven't done so yet, but I would strongly recommend this game. It's especially if you like the era and the theme of ancient Rome or classic civilization. This is a civilization game, even though it's set only in Rome. There are some expansions as well for the game, and this miniature comes from the Deluxe Edition, and I believe it's from, I'm not sure if it's an expansion or not. One of the expansions actually gives you the option to go on campaigns with, your legionaries and stuff like that. But it's not a must. If you'd like the base game, you can, and don't have these miniatures, they are represented by tiles as well in the game. So nice, neat little game. Actually, it's not that little. It's actually a fairly large box, but I would say it's sort of a more towards a standard size ticket ride box, a little bit bigger even. weighs in about, I would estimate, around 3 to 4 kilos. And the weight of the game, as in terms of Board Game Geek, is 2.70 out of 5, which means it's of medium complexity, and it's recommended from 12 years and up. The designer is Matteo Donadis, and the artists are Jose David Lanza Kerabian, I believe they call it, and Sarah Stanoeska. I hope I didn't really pronounce your names wrong. If I did, please correct me in the comments. It's rated as a 7.3 in this current moment on Board Game Geek, which is fairly high. And I'll be, if you like it, I can maybe do a little bit of unboxing or show you what the game looks like when the miniatures have been dried, and for another day perhaps. Now, as you can see, there will be very basic colors put on this miniature. After this paint dries, it's going to take a while, and it's going to be in the second video. There might even be a third video, depending how long the time takes to actually dry it. Then you will actually see that there will be red colors on the roof. There will be, over here, there will be a portcullis, and the portcullis, the gates will be painted with lead belcher. These are from Citadels. I forgot to say as well that this color, which I probably should have said from the beginning, is Vallejo's white. It's pure off-white. You can give it a tint if you want with some Screaming Skull, if you want to mix it in, or you want to mix in some ivory. I'm going to be showing you how to actually get the sandstone color actually done and ready, just using some nice wash. But I can only do so when the miniature is completely and utterly dry, and otherwise it would be not so good. So stay tuned until the next video, and then we'll begin to put in the wash. And my apologies, I thought it would be 2 videos. It's going to be 3 videos, and as I don't have a copy of this model, otherwise I could do it in 2 videos, or maybe even 1. There's going to be 3rd video. So first one, just basic stages. Maybe I can, the roof is dried fairly well, so between cleaning my brush with some water, and I'm going to be putting, giving it a good shake, but going to be putting Citadel's Corn Red as a base color from on the roof, and I'm going to be putting it over here. Right, wiping out most brush on paint on the brush, and very easily putting the red. Oh, there you go. Camera's here. Making sure the lines are using the same paintbrush. Let's see if I can raise the camera a little bit. Hopefully it will not be too unstable. Oh yeah, much better. Long, neat paintbrush brush strokes. You can see it went a little bit over the head there. It's not a problem. This video is designed to give you a tabletop standard on the miniature. It won't win you any competitions, but it will look nice on the table, I hope. I've been painting miniatures for about 5 years. I wouldn't consider myself a master or anything. I'm just a hobby player who likes to put some extra brush folds of paint on my miniatures. And when the paint is dry, you can also just delete any mistakes you have by simply painting over some white. I'm taking great care as much as I can not to hit the outlying areas. It's a little bit fiddly, but I believe, oh, there you go, I made a little bit of mistake there. If you think that this one is too dark, this color, there's a point for that. It's called a base color, and the base color is designed simply to make sure that it gets even coverage on the base, on the color, on the model. And once that is done, you will put some highlights on it, which will be towards the end of this model. Oh, it doesn't look that too shabby. See, already it looks a little bit better. I'm going to leave this one here. I'm going to clean my brush. It's nice to have some kitchen towel and a nice cup of regular water in here. And I'm going to be actually putting some lead belcher on it. This is lead belcher. It's from Citadel. I like to mix either using Citadel's colors or Vallejo's colors. I'm putting it in neat, and I'll tell you why. It's quite a thick brush, quite a thick paint. I'm going to be putting it on the gates here, on the portcullis, as the gate was called. Kind of like the metal bar that covers the gate. And that's one gate. So if you see it over here, here you go. And there's a little bit there missing up. For the next video, I'm going to put the lamp up, my light up a little bit higher, so I don't actually accidentally do that again. Don't worry if you don't get everything on it. Like I said, it's only designed to make it look good on the table, not win any competitions. And if you want to check if the paint is dry, I'll show you a good trick for that. Sometimes it can look that it's dry and it's not. Don't worry about getting the inside of this gate with everything in it. You could go inside with like this inside the gate, but no one's really going to show it or notice it, so don't do it. Just be overcomplicating things. Keep it simple. So you can see here now that it's fairly safe. Use a clean hand. See, it's fairly nice. There you see it's not fully dry yet. On the sides it is, and on the frontal side it's not. So it's going to be waiting for the next video. We're going to put some wash on it. I'm going to show you a special technique of how to paint sandstone, and stay tuned until that next video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe and share, and don't forget to actually click the like button, and of course the little bell button, so you actually get notified when the next video will be uploaded. Thank you very much.